Okay, y'all. So to continue with my points, so I was talking about, finding, even though you may not have that person who you completely fit together with like a glove, and I'm not saying that you can't find that or it's not possible, but I'm just saying that even though you may not have that, even if you have some commonalities that you're willing to build off of, that in itself is pretty good too. So you can try to build off of that potentially. But again, some people do that, some people don't. Again, that's their choice. Now, to continue on with the article, there was one point that he had made that kind of stood out. He had talked about, and this I'm going to read the full paragraph and then give you my take. So he says, "I think that we're losing the value of commitment. We see this in the job market. We see this with technology, and we're seeing it with significant others. Every everything just seems to be a placeholder to keep us busy until something better comes along. And this is happening with relationships too. What happened to the honor of keeping your word, the dignity of standing with by someone when things get difficult, the integrity of upholding the promises you made long after the mood that you were in made has passed?" Okay? It is all declining, and we wonder why everyone is complaining so much about the opposite sex. Our young men are getting flooded with mixed messages. Do women want to be equal, or do they want to be courted? Is there a conflict between the two? Can chivalry and equality coexist? Should he pay for dinner? These questions can be confusing to people and have not yet defined their own answers to believe in. So it's a lot to soak in and digest. So I'm going to talk about the first point where he talked about losing sight of commitment. Um, Now, I agree with this. Okay, I do agree wholeheartedly with this, and I've had discussions with people, and everyone has their opinions on this. Now, I think now it depends. Now, when I agree with the point, what I'm trying to say, when I agree with this point, I'm agreeing with it from the perspective of I like a girl, me and this girl meet, we click, we vibe, we like each other a lot, we want to build something. We're talking about being in a relationship, we're talking about being exclusive, and then they change their mind. I'm not referring and talking about I go out on a date with a girl once or twice and then she tells me we don't have a connection. Those are to me two separate things. And because the one thing I've said to women in terms of what they've asked me, like what do I look for in a woman, the one thing I've said now more than anything that I would look for in a woman is that I look for a woman not to give up on me. And what I mean by that is if we've been talking about dating each other and building something, you know what I'm saying? Like you're saying you want to make a commitment to me, and I'm saying I'm willing to make that commitment to you. We're gonna do this together for 2 whole weeks. We've been talking, or a month, or whatever. We've been talking about doing this, and then all of a sudden, out the blue, you're like, I'm not. I don't. I'm not feeling this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And just a couple of days ago, or a week ago, or a few days, everything was fine. That's what I'm talking about in terms of losing value of commitment. But again, I think the problem with the commitment portion is the same problem in terms of dating. They're options. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, when some women have talked to me and I've talked to, and I tell them, like, they ask me, like, why have you been single for so long? Why can't you find anyone? You're a handsome guy, you're a cute guy, and all this stuff. And I tell them, because Toronto has a lot of options. And they're confused by that. They don't know what I'm saying. What I mean is, again, I may be this handsome catch, but I'm sure I'm not the only guy out there who's a handsome catch. And again, the girl can go out with me and think I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread the first day she meets me. And then she can go on a date with another guy and think he's a better slice of bread. And that leaves me out of and that's just the way it is. You know. I don't like it at times. It's kind of it was I think and this is the one thing I had to realize too when I first started dating, because when I really thought about it and really thought about what the disconnect was with me in terms of dating. 2014, the end of 2014, like mid to like not sorry, like the last quarter of 2014 was really the first year that I actually dated in my life ever. Okay, and this is when I turned 30 years old. It was the first time in my life I was actually actively going out on dates because I met my ex, we got together, I was just dating her and I was committed for the most part, and we broke up. Before that, wasn't dating anyone before I met her when I came back from Guyana. When I was in Guyana, I was basically the man on the side, just, when girls were just basically sleeping with me, just to sleep with me. Um, and then before that, girls weren't really into me. So I wasn't, as much as I would love to have dated girls, I was basically like, the girls saw me as like the guy who they I was basically like a girlfriend with balls. Like they'd come and tell me about their boyfriend problems, and at the time I gave a shit because oh my gosh, she's telling me about her life and all this stuff, and I'm giving her advice. Now I don't really give a shit. I don't want to hear it. If you have a boyfriend, sorry if he's not treating you right. I'm sorry to hear that. You need to break up with him or go on Dr. Phil, and maybe he will help you out. I can't help you because I really don't. If no, and I say this from this perspective. If you're someone who I like or I've wanted to date, and then you're with someone, that's awesome. If you found someone, you like them, that's great. There's absolutely zero reason for us to talk then. None. Because if roles were reversed, if I met somebody and you liked me a lot, and then I tell you, hey, I just met someone and we have a girlfriend, why you would not want to talk to me ever again? Because there's nothing for us to discuss. And again, that's just the way it is. So, that's kind of how I feel about that. So, and again, and the last point in terms of our young men are getting mixed with mixed messages from women. Do women want to be equal or do they want to be courted? And that's a question that y'all women can answer. Only y'all can answer that. And I get different opinions because I have girls who tell me that if a guy is going to ask them out on a date, which is fair, he should pay. But then I've had girls who've asked me out on dates and then they expect me to pay, which is whatever, and that's fine. And I've had girls who tell me they refuse to let a guy pay for them. There was one girl who told me years ago that she would never, anytime she goes on a date, she'll never let a guy pay for her. And I was like, let's go out. Let's go to the fucking keg. And I'll order steak and lobster and make you pay for all that shit. No, I'm playing. That thought did cross my mind, but we never ended up going out. But no, and that's fair, because nowadays, women are independent, women are working, women are doing all this stuff. So, again, the question is, do you want to be courted? But I think it's not that you want to be courted. Like, do you want a guy to see you as an equal and you guys are equal in a relationship? Because to me, a relationship, when you're in a relationship, it has to be equal. It can't just be one-sided. But in a dating world, it might be one-sided, it might not be. So it's very confusing. I'm even confused to some degree, even trying to navigate and explain this shit to y'all, because it's confusing to me. And again, I think it's confusing only depending on the individual that you're dating. Okay? So again, and then he talks about rejection and stuff like that, which I agree with too, and how people can't handle rejection anymore and don't take rejection well. And I think because due to society the way it is nowadays, where kids and young adults and young kids and young people are getting rewarded for everything nowadays, and have been told that you're special no matter what. And yeah, that's great that you've taught your child that they're special and they're this and they're great and they're amazing, but you've not taught them how to handle rejection. That's why kids feel entitled to everything nowadays. Nowadays when kids go out for sports and they go out, they play, let's say, basketball, and they have to go to a basketball tournament, everyone gets a reward. Even the ones that don't win, they go in last place, they still get a trophy. No. People may feel however they feel about that, but to me, you're not teaching a child rejection. You're not teaching a child to work hard for anything. You're teaching a child if you just show up, you'll get rewarded. And I think that's kind of trickled into dating, And that's why some guys, to some degree, they feel like, well, shit, if I'm paying for all this dinner, you better be giving up that ass, on the first date. Because I've had girls tell me that guys have legitimately asked them on the first date, are we sleeping together? On the first date. Because they don't, some guys don't know. And some guys are idiots too, But again, I think people just can't, it's hard for them to take rejection. Rejection's a hard thing for them to take. And again, for me, it was hard to take in the beginning too when I started dating, because I was like, what the fuck? Like, we've been talking on the phone for how long? We've been texting all this time. We have a great connection on the phone. We talk on the phone. We meet. We go out on 2 dates, and now you're telling me you have no connection. I don't understand what that means. So it was frustrating for the period of time. But I think the way I was able to compartmentalize it and be able to deal with it was just understand that I can't. There's two mantras that I live by, and I've been living by this, and I speak on this openly and candidly. I can't make someone do something that they don't want to do, and I'm not going to force myself into someone's life who doesn't want me in it. Okay? I don't beg for anyone's time. I don't beg for anyone's attention. I don't do any of that. And I don't expect anyone to do that for me, because no one owes me anything, and I don't owe anyone anything. You know, if it's a mutual thing, then we'll make it mutual. I'll put in the effort and as much energy as I'm willing to put in. But if the person that I'm talking to isn't willing to do the same, I'm not putting in any effort. I've had girls who've asked me out on dates, and legitly the day we were supposed to meet up, they stopped talking to me. I've had that happen on 3 occasions. That they said, "Hey, Mike, let's go for coffee. Let's go for drinks on Tuesday." Okay, no problem. This was the Thursday she asked me on the date. "Hey, Mike, let's go for drinks." So the Sunday comes now. I send her a text saying, "Hey, we're still on for Tuesday." "Yeah, we're still on for Tuesday. No worries." Tuesday comes, she drops off the face of the motherfucking earth. Still haven't heard from her. She could be dead for all I know, or she just met somebody else. You dig what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit there and blow up her phone and waste her time. I'm not going to do that. I've had girls where I legitly got asked out on a date to go all the way out to to damn near Young and Finch, for those of you who don't know. And I live out in the West End. Went all the way to Young and Finch to go to some Korean grill place. I'm literally 10 minutes from the Korean grill place at Young and Finch. She tells me she can't make it. And she asked me out. And then you wonder why, to some degree, why I don't put in the effort and energy, because some girls aren't serious. And I'm not chasing no one around. So it goes that way. And it left me a bit jaded. It left me a little bit annoyed, those situations. Those situations bothered me. And I've had girls who would legitimately ask me out. Because the thing is, if I ask you out and then you cancel, I can live with that. Because again, that's your choice. But I feel like if you're going to ask me out on a date, if something happens, that's fine. I'm not saying that if, let's say a family member got into Lord forbid, a family member had an accident or some craziness happened, or you have a headache, or you're throwing up, or you have diarrhea, whatever the case may be, that's totally cool if you cancel. But I can't live with you blatantly canceling and then not giving a shit. And the girls that I feel like when they canceled, they didn't give a shit. And I'm just like, you guys are rude. Because if I did that to y'all, I'd be the biggest asshole on the planet, and y'all would probably do a blog on me. You know what I mean? So it's just stuff like that. And I think with dating, it's a little bit harder now, because people don't. Again, it goes back to feeling like keeping your word and stuff that doesn't apply anymore. People don't feel they have to keep their word. For what? If you don't like me, so what? I have 10 guys that like me. You know what I'm saying? So, or guys would be like, well, I got 15 girls that I'm talking to now, so fuck you. And I think that's just the way it is now. And people don't have a sense of commitment or loyalty anymore. Those words are kind of foreign. I don't think if I tell someone what loyalty is, they don't even know what definition. They probably couldn't even tell me what it meant. So, that's just the way it is. And I think for me, the mantras that I live by it's made it easier for me to be able to deal with rejection. Because again, I'm not going to force myself into someone's life who doesn't want me in it. If someone doesn't want to talk to me anymore, date me anymore, see me anymore, whatever, then that's their choice. And I have to respect it. Whether I like it or not is irrelevant. That doesn't really matter. I have to respect how they feel, because I can't sit there and get pissy with them because they don't want to talk to me. Because again, because the way I see it, again, to some degree, if you don't want to talk to me, there's others that would want to give me their time and want to talk to me. And I'd rather put my energy and effort into those people rather than someone who I got to pull teeth to get a conversation out of. Like if I text you and it takes you 3 weeks to respond, you're not that into me. Because quite frankly, everyone's on their phone and has their phone on them. So if you're going to insult my intelligence by telling me that you can't send me a simple, hey, how you doing text, it's bullshit. But I'll continue on. This is probably be a 10-part. No, I'm kidding. It won't be a 10-part blog. Probably be one more thing after this. But glad you guys are sticking in, watching it with me. But we'll continue this on going forward.